Okay, so I'm going to explain today how so frequently people panic when they see the scales go up. Now, this really isn't a problem when you're talking about fat loss. There's so many different things that can make this happen. Now, first of all, let's start by assuming nothing has changed. Food hasn't changed, anything like that. How did you sleep? Right? Sleep is going to make us hold onto a loss of water if it's not good enough quality. By not recovering, the body increases cortisol and increases the amount of water that we actually hold. Right? Another thing, have you had a big session the day before? Training something large like legs is going to cause inflammation, which is also going to make us hold water. You can also see the scales then rise. This doesn't mean you put on fat. This means that your body needs time to recover before that weight drops off. So, next of all, right, carbohydrate intake will of course make you put on weight. But what it can also do is drive up performance, meaning that if you're driving up performance, you're retaining muscle tissue, which is then going to lead to fat loss in the future. Okay, by retaining muscle, your body composition increases and then leads to you getting leaner because of your retaining muscle as you're then losing weight. Okay, another thing, sodium. Sodium is a very important factor because yes, we need water in our body. We are made up 80% of water. So if we do not drink enough water, our body then holds it to try and retain the energy and oxygen that it needs through that water. So sodium intake increasing can make us hold more. Sometimes this is good, but we need to find a balance and keep it continuous as well throughout your diet phase. Right. So for myself currently, because of how hot the weather is, I've increased my water intake to 8 litres from 6. And alongside that, I've gone from 12 grams of salt to 14. I use pink Himalayan. This helps me retain the water and utilize the water that my body is receiving. But if I add more in, I'm obviously going to retain more of that water. Okay? Another thing that could make us hold more water or put on more weight is digestion. Sometimes digestion skews, right? We have days where we go to the toilet more frequently. Our bowel movements are more consistent. If you haven't gone to the toilet as frequently the day before, you've got more food passing through the gastric tunnel. More food passing through the gastric tunnel means you're physically going to weigh more. This does not mean that you have gained fat. There's just more in your body, so you're physically going to weigh more. Another thing, right? When we're talking about retaining weight, now this one is especially for females or cystic clients. Okay, as the female goes through her menstrual cycle, right, there are a lot of hormonal changes that happen. One of them is the increase of progesterone. Now, progesterone is what the body actually utilizes to protect the egg at the end of a menstrual cycle in case it was fertilized. Now, for a lot of my clients, they can see constipation come in. They can see a lots of other dictating factors. This will lead to more weight because you are retaining more water, the body is stressed, your hormones are not in the place that they normally are, you're not functioning at the regular rate. So this will also mean that you are holding some more weight. Now this doesn't mean, and I had a client like a couple of days ago where the whole way through her, every single time we get to there back in the cycle, her weight just holds. Or it'll even go up a little bit. But as soon as a couple of days passed, that water retention has dropped off, sleep improves, stress improves, and then all of a sudden, shoot, the weight just comes flying off. Now, for men, especially with cycle support, right, when you are increasing testosterone, the density of muscle and water that your body is retaining is going to be higher. Okay, this will then lead to you obviously weighing more. Now, in a lot of cases, weighing more when introduction of a cycle, but if you see the visuals are changing, this is a very good thing. This means that you're actually metabolizing your food very well, but also if your cycle supports it, you can start to gain tissue once that cycle has been introduced in a diet phase. Of course, different compounds do different things, but trenbolone which should only be ever taken at a very, very small dosage, is the most anabolic steroid there is. Now, this should only ever be taken with the guidance of a coach and at a very low dosage, but you can, it is known, to still be able to gain tissue in a severe deficit. But the side effects of it are way higher than any other cycle. So this should always be taken with a very good supplement stack supporting all of the different effects that it can have on your liver, kidneys, and other vital organs in the body, and it increases your red blood cell count quite a lot. So telmisartan is something that definitely needs to be in there, and blood work needs to be checked regularly while running a cycle, regardless of what it is, but especially with a compound of that strength. The last and literally probably one of the most important ones, because if stress is high and sleep is low, the body's ability to recover is in the toilet. Now, if you can't recover, your body becomes dysfunctional. It doesn't operate at its normal function rate, which then means fat loss can stall. This will be the biggest one that will make fat loss stall, because if your body isn't functioning, all hormones will be skewed as well. And this will then lead to, if you have less sleep, ghrelin increases. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. Your hunger hormone is what makes it very, very difficult to diet. Okay, this is why so many GLP-1s and GLP-2s come in now. However, I am not the biggest fan of them, especially because when the body needs extra carbohydrates to try and refuel, to fill up the tank before you can go back into fat loss, because fat loss is done in 3 stages. It's done in glycogen depletion, fat loss, and then muscle loss. So you have to refill the bottle back up to glycogen depletion before you go into muscle loss, or else you get to the point where you then start losing tissue. The way to know that you are starting to lose tissue is because strength decreases and other factors. But this can all be skewed, and your body's understanding of things can be skewed. Like your hunger signals will be off, so your ability to know when to refeed will be off as well. So this is why this video is explaining all of the things that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to with our fat loss phase, and make sure that you actually look at the visuals of the person before we think about anything else. Weight is just a determining factor. It's a good tool to use, but it's probably the least effective one for fat loss. If you're maintaining the same weight and you're getting leaner, you're maintaining tissue, and you're basically doing what you want to do, the more you weigh and the leaner you are, the more muscle you have, which then increases your metabolic rate, which then improves your ability to burn calories at rest. It increases